Hello, I am Barry Feldman of Feldman Creative, and I have a special guest today from a company in Finland called Smarp, and his name is Roope Heinila. Hi, Roop. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, the plan is to talk about this term and what obviously a term dear to your heart called employee advocacy. I read a fair share of blogs and social media posts, and that expression comes up a lot. Let's just begin by clarifying it for our audience. What is employee advocacy?
Yeah, so employee advocacy, kind of at its core, is about employees promoting the brand that they work for. So it is very much about turning employees into brand ambassadors for their employers. And this has been around now for 5, 6 years. Of course, employee advocacy as a concept has been around for ages. But with the advent of social media, employees, the ability to affect a large amount of people has really gone up quite a bit. So while employees were earlier able to affect 5, 6 friends with their opinions, now with the click of a button, one share, they're able to affect the opinions of hundreds, if not thousands of people.
Right. And so I suppose, or I've gathered that, a marketing department taking up social media all by itself is often too small of an effort, right? Employee advocacy is a way to amplify the company's messages.
Yeah, so if you think about social media, any of the networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc., they've all really been built with the relationship between people at its core. Facebook was not built to connect companies and people to each other. It was built to connect friends. And what employee advocacy really does is allows companies to tap into that connection that people have and to actually humanize their brands that way and really utilize the core elements of the social network for both personal benefit of the employee and for the business benefit of the company. And as you said, the networks are quite often 10 times bigger than what the company would be able to reach through their branded pages.
All right. Well, it's a hot topic, I know, and I've asked you, and I think for one reason for sure is making the company's voice louder and increasing reach. But I know there must be other benefits too.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be just about increasing reach. I think more important than reach is the authenticity. So if you think about it from a personal perspective, which one do you trust more? A message coming from a friend or a message coming from a brand through a promotion? In addition to just getting the authenticity there, you're also able to engage your employees, really make them be part of the brand. So the brand is shaped by the employees, not the other way around. And this very much kind of a core part of what employee advocacy is about getting your employees to be your brand. And that impacts not only marketing, but it impacts communications, even HR through better employer branding, recruiting, and most importantly, it impacts the engagement your employees have with your
Right. What was that last part you said? It impacts the what?
the engagement that your employees actually have with the brand. As through an employee advocacy program, they become more engaged through engaging with branded content and actually understanding what the company stands for, understanding its mission, its vision, its future, and its impact much better than they do by just working in their own job descriptions.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a morale builder at rally. It's like I guess I've approached that a bit with building an internal blogging team, right? Sort of like everybody's in charge of understanding the company's objectives and joining the marketing team.
Yeah, I mean, today's companies, all they are pretty much people and laptops. So the only thing of value are the people in the company. And if you think about it that way, you should really be getting those people to be your brand because no matter what you do, they will be a part of it.
There's the headline for this piece. Today's company are pretty much people and laptops. That's a good one. All right, so I buy in. I have a, let's say, mid-sized company, and I love the idea of having advocates across the company that I guess currently probably are not. What are my challenges for getting started?
Well, first off, you got to rethink the whole concept. So instead of thinking about what I was just talking about from a brand perspective, think about it from an individual employee's perspective. Why would you as an employee want to take part in an employee advocacy program? That's where your own professional branding, personal branding, increasing your awareness in your networks, as well as furthering your own career that comes in. So the first challenge and the biggest challenge is always getting employees on board. And the way you do that is by actually making the whole employee advocacy program be employees first, which means that from a company's perspective, you first have to think about how does this help my employees become better at what they do, and how does this help their careers? By doing that, the company benefits actually come automatically.
All right. Anything else? Do the people that are you're trying to onboard, are they bound to be 100% willing?
Well, you should only aim for the willing ones. So there are many ways of doing it. We've seen companies start with large amounts of people, and seen companies start small. Both of those have their ups and downs, but the key thing in both of them is that it has to be completely voluntary participation. Otherwise, when you're trying to boost engagement, when you're trying to turn your employees into brand ambassadors, you might be doing the exact opposite.
Twist people's arms into being advocates for the company.
Yeah, that doesn't work. You might get some short-term benefits, but in the long term, you're just going to be hurting your brand.
Okay.
You should still provide everybody the opportunity to become advocates, provide the training that's needed, and also, probably most importantly from the company's perspective, recognize the people who choose to be advocates.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me ask you this. It makes me think of kind of a ironic mind shift, because here management is making some decision to put a program in place and train people and onboard people, whereas just a few years back, it seemed like, the executive suite would have, walked up and down Cubicle Row going, what are you doing on Facebook? Get back to work. So is
Yeah,
there a shift, a mind shift going, taking place in terms of attitudes about social?
definitely. When we started out in 2011 and we went to pitch companies talking about employees and social, their usual response we got was, yes, will you be able to provide us with a software that blocks social media completely? That would be. So luckily, that shift has happened over the last 5 years, where companies are now seeing social and their own employees much more as an opportunity than a threat. And to me, it's very weird that companies have been willing to hand their brands over to celebrities, to brand ambassadors, to customers, but not to their own employees before. But how can you trust your customers, trust professional advocates, trust athletes, etc., with your brand if you're not willing to trust the people who created that brand?
Yep, your company is people and laptops, as you said, right? All right, Roop. Well, I've asked you some questions about why and how and getting started, and let's say we are started now. What happens next in an employee advocacy program?
Yeah, so hopefully you will have been able to engage your employees in the program. You'll have a lot of employees sharing, reading your messages, really staying up to date on all the latest company news. I believe the next stage is that instead of just providing them the news, providing them the content, that you should really engage your employees in curating that content. So I believe that the knowledge in companies does not just come from the communications department or the marketing department. It comes from the actual employees working in product development, working in sales, working in any of the kind of core functions in the company, and getting those employees to actually submit content that they're reading. So let's say I ran into an article that talks about our industry, and I think, hey, this is something my colleagues should be reading and sharing as well. Getting them to participate in that, not just sharing, but actually working as content creators. If companies truly are kind of shaped by their employees, that shaping should happen in not just wanting your employees to parrot your marketing messages, but to be part of creating that.
Good stuff. Parrot, not creating, not parroting.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Interesting conversation about an interesting topic, employee advocacy, which is important and growing more important as social media continues growing more important in the big scheme of the marketing mix. So thank you for your time and for connecting with me all the way over in Finland.
Thanks, Barry.
All right, Roop.